Jack was an ordinary member in the gang, but he wasn't afraid to be the first to pick up chopsticks during a gang meeting. Even the gang boss showed him respect. Don't be fooled by Jack's tough exterior now. Before joining the gang, Jack was just a regular college student. Near graduation, Jack picked up a stone and threw it at the school bully. Everyone around was shocked. A few days earlier, Jack's sister had accidentally caught the bully stealing girls' underwear. From that moment on, the bully began targeting her. Jack stood up for his sister, but this only brought endless retaliation from the bully. That day, Jack couldn't take it anymore. He grabbed a stone and walked toward the bully. All his anger exploded. But then, the bully's parents arrived and beat Jack even worse. When Jack's mom saw his bruised face, she showed no pity, no anger. She only thought about how to explain the compensation to the bully's stepfather. Jack's mom's new husband loved to drink, and every time he got drunk, he'd beat Jack. To please him, Mom always sacrificed Jack to satisfy her husband's desires. However, the stepfather's daughter was the only one who helped Jack when he'd had enough over time. They became the closest in this broken family. This time, when Jack threw the stone and hurt the bully's head, the bully's parents demanded $10 million in compensation. Jack's mom had completely lost hope to pay off the debt. Jack started working at a corrupt restaurant. The owner was a ruthless businessman. If a customer only ordered one meal, the owner would secretly add a bit of dust as seasoning. Jack was kind-hearted and always quietly warned the customers. But kindness didn't bring good fortune. One evening after work, Jack was attacked from behind by the bully and his friends. They threatened him that if he didn't repay the money in one day, they would continue torturing him. But Jack's savings weren't even enough for a hamburger to escape these demons. The next day, Jack asked his boss for an advance to pay the debt. But not only did the boss refuse, he mocked Jack. At that moment, the local gang boss, John, happened to be eating at the restaurant. John was the leader of the local gang. Unbelievably, that night, he had his men deliver $10 million to Jack and told him specifically that the money didn't need to be repaid, as long as Jack focused on his studies. The next day, Jack and his mom went to school to pay the compensation, but she wasn't happy at all. Instead, she suspected Jack was up to something bad. At that moment, Jack's heart felt like it was being ripped apart. That night, Jack's stepfather appeared before him holding a new baseball bat. It turned out that the school bully had called and insulted him. Jack tried to run to the door, but his stepfather hit him in the back with the bat. Jack's face slammed into a flower pot on the balcony. The next day, the boss fired Jack because of the scars on his face. But what he didn't know was that this incident actually pushed Jack to the peak of his life. Jack focused on making money, so he went to find John. Strangely, when John heard that Jack was looking for him, he told him to leave. But Jack didn't back down. He turned, grabbed a chair, and sat down. At that moment, John noticed the scars on Jack's face. He understood that Jack, like him, had suffered. In the end, John nodded. On Jack and John's first day together, John personally cooked a fish for Jack. It was the first time Jack ever felt the warmth of a home. On the second day, Jack joined the organization. John's men taught him how to hotwire a car without a key, and then sell it as a used motorcycle, which was the gang's main income source. On the third day, Jack got a new task. The target was a corrupt boss's food delivery van. First, they smashed the security camera at the door. Then Jack was to modify the motorcycle. But on his first try, he was nervous. No matter what he did, the bike wouldn't start. He was close to being caught, so he had no choice but to push the bike and run away. The task was considered a success. The next day, the defective motorcycles were scrapped on the spot. The ones that passed inspection were repainted and given new license plates. Then, these bikes would be sold in a new way, on a loan basis to new owners. If all went well, the corrupt boss became Jack's first customer. However, Jack had no experience the first time. He was nervous the whole time. The boss started doubting his abilities, but the contract was still signed. That day, Jack officially became part of the gang. However, a middle-aged man arrived that day. Everyone greeted him respectfully. Even John let him stroke his head casually. It turned out this man was the real boss of the gang, and he came to ask John to teach someone a lesson. George had adopted 2 foster sons. John handled the shady business side. Sam infiltrated the government. Recently, Glass's brother was running for Congress, but suddenly, he faced a powerful opponent. George gave the order. No matter what, they had to deal with the opponent. At that point, Jack came up with an idea. He suggested taking embarrassing photos of the candidate and blackmailing him out of the race.
그 사람 안 때려도 되고 아무도 안 다치니까.
They found the old man who owed the most money and disguised him as a taxi driver to pick up the candidate to ensure the mission's success. They stuffed Jack into the trunk, but unexpectedly, the old man turned on them halfway. He revealed everything about the gang's oppression and warned the candidate that they were going to harm him. Jack heard every word clearly. Then, when the old man parked the car, Jack immediately jumped out of the trunk, grabbed the knockout drug and forced it into the candidate's mouth. Finally, Jack told John the candidate had figured out their plan, So he had no choice but to resort to this measure. They got compromising photos of the candidate and used them to blackmail him into quitting the race. John kept his promise and gave the old man extra cash. However, when they were leaving, the old man was stopped by John's men.
그거는 죽이고 이번 달치는 줘야지.
The old man went crazy. Tearing up the cash, John exploded with rage, crushing his cup, and the matter was settled. Meanwhile, Jack was deeply affected. He realized he didn't belong in the gang. The next day, Jack approached John.
저 이거 일하는 거요.
잘하더라 어제. 소질 있어.
John pulled out a stack of cash and handed it to him as a reward for completing the task. Jack froze for a second. Thinking the money wasn't enough, John pulled out another $500. Jack was at a loss.
아까 1번.
아니에요. 감사합니다, 형님.
Jack gave up on leaving. From then on, John fully accepted Jack. Not only did he help Jack take revenge, but to promote him, John even had Jack personally deliver the photos to George. Sure enough, George was pleased with how the situation was handled, and he was impressed by Jack.